Welcome to SBI's GTM Value Creation Corner podcast. Every episode is an unscripted conversation between GTM leaders, experts, and practitioners discussing what is on the minds of executives, latest market trends, and SBI research and insights. Today's host is Tony Erickson, Senior Partner and TMT Practice Leader at SBI. In this episode, he's joined by two guests from symplr, a leader in enterprise healthcare operations, software, and services. CEO BJ Schaknowski and President Nicole Rogas are here to tell their story on how symplr managed to build a stronger consolidated brand with a focus on customer success. The company continues to grow in one of the most challenging environments for healthcare solution providers by maintaining a well-aligned sales organization that can show the true value that symplr creates for existing customers.
Welcome to the SBI podcast. I'm your host, Tony Erickson, Senior Partner at the firm. Joining us today are two guests from symplr. BJ Schaknowski joined symplr in 2020 as CEO, and Nicole Rogas joined in 2022 as president. Together, they have been focused on value creation and have produced some meaningful results that we know our audience is going to enjoy hearing about. BJ and Nicole, welcome to SBI's Go-to-Market Value Creation Corner.
Thank you, Tony. We are thrilled to be here.
We appreciate both of you all coming in today. Denver, Chicago, respectively. Any troubles getting through the airport at the bright, early dawn morning?
No, but we have to get home, so you're setting us up for the...
Well, let's not predict the future. I'm sure it'll all be seamless. Yes. So, well, thank you. We really appreciate you all joining. For our audience, please introduce yourselves. BJ, kick us off.
Sure. So, BJ Schaknowski, I am symplr's CEO. 25 now plus year. The plus is somewhat new. Almost exclusively in software. Focused primarily earlier in my career around sales, then evolved into leadership. Have done everything you can do in a software company prior to becoming the CEO, except for finance and product. So did M&A, strategy, operations, services, ran technical writing. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, Island of Misfit Toys there. And had the opportunity, did a stint with Vertafore, which is world's leading information technology provider specific to the insurance distribution channel. Was a private equity turn for us, half owned by Vista Equity Partners, half owned by Bain Capital. We doubled enterprise value in 3.5 years, transacted a Roper Technology, had an opportunity to pick my head up and look at new opportunities, and the symplr thesis was too good to pass up. And so I've been here for almost 3 years now.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for that. Nicole, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about symplr too.
Of course. Nicole Rogas, president for symplr, really translates so much of what I do is worry about our customers and our employees who take care of our customers. Starting my 21st year in healthcare IT, if you'd believe it, I'm very passionate about this industry and what we do. All of the roles I've served really started in a long history in sales, evolved into sort of commercial operations, services, customer success, customer support, and RevOps. Joined symplr 2 years ago, really after spending the last 9 years as a part of a big revenue cycle organization. And it really drew me our value proposition. I felt like the timing to set a category in healthcare operations, an area that really hadn't seen the consolidation that we've seen both in the EHR, EMR space and in the revenue cycle space. I felt like it was really the right time. And after almost 2 years here, I still believe that. And we have a lot more to do still.
Awesome.
So it's pretty great.
Well, thank you. Both of you. Welcome to the show. We really appreciate you taking some time. All right, let's jump in. So many companies today are facing the challenge of rising costs and seeking opportunities to consolidate systems, processes, and personnel. Healthcare is not immune to these headwinds. So being a SaaS company, how have you guys handled the biggest industry issue we are seeing across the board for tech companies, the focus on gross and net retention rates?
Yeah, and maybe what we thought we'd do is ham and egg this a little bit. I'll hit the strategy and the thesis of symplr and really why we were built, because I think it very much solves this problem. Then maybe Nicole can take you into the how.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you look at the thesis of symplr, healthcare systems and particularly CIOs have had to work with one typically ERP provider, one EMR, EHR provider, maybe even one revenue cycle provider. But for years, those systems have been working with 40, 50, 60. We've actually even seen instances in our research where some systems and facilities were working with more than 120 different point product solutions to do all the things necessary to run a hospital, to run a payer organization, to run a a non-acute care facility. So think senior living or long-term care, right? You have to credential physicians, you have contracts, you have compliance, quality and safety, regulatory issues, you have spend management, you have to schedule nurses, schedule physicians, you have to get them on board, you have to train them. All these different things, you can't run a healthcare facility without doing well. And so you have to have technology to typically standardize, automate, whatever of those workflows made sense for your system. Well, for years, that didn't make a lot of sense, but that's what they were doing, right? So think this patchwork quilt of disparate systems. They don't look like each other. There's no single sign-on for most of them. The data certainly doesn't move in between them. And my goodness gracious, think about the data security and privacy concerns and the data that they have, right, within that many systems. And so really, as we step back and look at what symplr could become, there was an opportunity to really consolidate and bring together number one, number two in each of the leading areas. And we categorize all those into 4 different areas. And so what we did was we acquired those products, right, that we thought would be the leaders now or into the future in each of those areas. And then what we did was we made pretty significant investments and are still making those investments in bringing them together. So think common user interface, right? Common UX, UI. We call it a design system. It's symplr Alloy. So all of our tools look and feel the same. Single sign-on, data interoperability where it makes sense. So we're building a platform. But more importantly, right, the technology is very, very, very critical to what we're doing here. What we're really doing is we're giving CIOs who now, for really the first time, 3 years in healthcare, 20 plus years in healthcare, but every CIO I've talked to has said, listen, I couldn't do anything, right, for my system. I could go work with individual facilities, I could advise, I could guide, I could counsel, but every facility made their own choice. Well, now because of COVID, so much of that's become centralized, and they're looking to have common platforms, common tools, common workflows, so that if I'm a nurse from Broomfield, I can drop in to a hospital system in Lafayette or in Westminster, and it's not going to be like I'm a new employee, right? All the things that we can imagine around productivity and efficiency. And what the goal of symplr is, and the thesis of symplr is to give them that fourth partner, or the fourth leg of the chair. We can help with their non-clinical operational tooling from a platform approach with an enterprise software provider of scale that does world-class professional services, customer success, right? Data security and privacy and InfoSec, right? Which is critical, and is also really delivering on this platform roadmap that in and of itself will create incredible value. Now that's really easy in PowerPoint slides, right? And by the way, that's actually what got me to take this job, because we're building a category, and how cool is that? But then you actually have to come in and you have to deliver value in the current products that you provide, right, for those systems, making those consolidation choices. And that's where our customer success model comes in. That's where I'll let Nicole pick up the story.
Yeah, I think so. What BJ just articulated so greatly is really the key value proposition of why the customers are choosing symplr today and why they're choosing to stay and expand with us. It really became down going back to the fundamentals and the basics. What do our customers need? And what do they need from their vendor partner, both from a software and technology, but also from an engagement model? And SBI has helped us in that along the way. Really went back and said, what are the different roles and the responsibilities that our customers need every day? We hired plenty of healthcare experienced folks to come in and lead these different commercial teams, because we know how the systems operate. Some of us have actually been inside of the system being a provider before, built models. Now what we're doing is really proactive engagement, looking at each of our products. What are the different value propositions? What is the value creation and the return on investment we bring our customer? And then able to help them adopt and utilize our software in a better way. And so our entire customer success model, even our sales model, we've enabled our sellers to be industry experts, learn the macroeconomic climate, what's happening, the trends in the space, and solution with your customer, and then transition them to folks in customer success who really wake up every day hoping to ensure a better experience for the customer. And that translates to all of our go-to-market functions, just customer success, professional services, and support as well. So really just taking the great value prop and translating into something where we can go execute and create incremental value for our customers.
So, Nicole, when you joined, I remember you were coming in, the company had been highly acquisitive. What was it? 17 companies, I think, or different offerings? Some
It's been 15 acquisitions in the last 5 years.
And it was rolling off.
Five in the 18 months I had been here.
So we closed 2 within like my first 4 weeks of joining.
How do you tell a story?
Well, that was really where it became. So it was creating first. What are we as a leadership team determining what is it that we're doing? This is where we keep talking about creating a a category in healthcare operations, and how can we provide value in bringing all of these different platforms together. So it wasn't just one contract or one partner. What's the actual efficiencies we can help healthcare administrators gain? They didn't go to school so they could do more paperwork. They didn't go to school to sit on a piece of technology.
Yeah.
They have a calling to deliver care. And while we're not clinical folks, we're software people, we believe that by bringing all this together, we can actually create integration, a unified look and feel, a better experience for the employees inside of the health system, which translates to them being able to deliver better care to the patients themselves. And that's how we deliver impact.
I think your one story, there's a great CIO, very, very famous CIO in healthcare out of Colorado. And he always says, it's a great story, but show me the numbers, right? And what we've been able to do is really harness the outcomes that we deliver to healthcare systems, be they financial outcomes. We actually save systems we work with on average 17% on their spend. We can go tell them that story of how to use not one, but a variety of tools to achieve that. All right, we can actually talk about the compliance, quality, and safety and the decreased risk of significant fines that you see, right, through corporate integrity agreements and the Office of the Inspector General. We can talk about how much more quickly you can credential a provider and how much quicker you can actually accelerate revenue generation in these systems who are financially struggling. And then I think most importantly, we've got data on all this. We can talk about how our tools and systems actually give nurses, right, put the right nurses on the right shift at the right time, and then give them more time back to actually provide care. What we did in terms of telling our story, and we spent a lot of time on this, and we fought a lot, and we do that a lot. Then we make up, then we fight again, right, as our executive team. I think it's why we're actually so effective. But we really thought long and hard about what our noble purpose was. Because if you can land your noble purpose, then you can land the rest of your company's story and all those narratives aligned to what you are. And what symplr exists to do at the end of the day is to give caregivers more time to give care. And if you can actually ladder all of your outcomes, be they financial, be they productivity, be they efficiency, be they risk reduction, into your noble purpose, you can deliver a hell of a good story with the data to back it up that our healthcare buyers across all personas have been desperate to have a partner to help them with.
Okay, that is a fascinating topic. So as you touch on that and you think about how to convey that to a customer, I mean, at the end of the day, clients vote with their wallets. So what have you done to win those votes, keep those customers, going back to the original thesis here, gross and net retention rate? How has that changed? How's the evolution and what are the facts?
Well, once we started with, so tactically to execute on that, having different roles and responsibilities. You have your sales organization who's responsible for growing accounts and customer success team responsible for taking care of them. We work together, do strategic account planning, talk to customers to listen to what they need. What are their key objectives for the year? What are the biggest problems they're trying to solve? Inevitably, we at symplr have something that can help solve their problem. We also probably have a product inside of the walls of their health system. So you mentioned, how do they know, or one symplr? It takes a lot of, oh, you love the Halo product that you're using today. Did you know that that's symplr?
Yeah.
And being able to get really wide in an account. So being able to meet the different contexts, not just your CIO, that's our anchor, our key customer responsible for the technology, but having the functional leaders in each of these departments understand the products we have, where we already are in their organization, and why bringing that together into a single partner makes sense. Sometimes it is, Tony, just financial. Sometimes for them, they want to consolidate the multiple vendors that they're using today into one, and we can save them money. Every time, every single time we can save money. But money's only so much of the way. We have to be able to create value, and that's where the story about all the integration investment we've made.
Yeah, so we've certainly put a lot more money into the products and the platform, but I'll even come back to something you said, maybe build on it. I think of our ability to cross-sell, right, really stemming from three areas, right, or having three different catalysts that are equally important to driving our success. The first one is you've got to build your brand. And we declared early on that we were going to be a branded house, not a house of brands. And we hired a wonderful world-class marketer and marketing team, and we probably overspend on brand versus revenue marketing or demand generation marketing versus some of our contemporaries. But when we have 97% penetration into our target market already, I'm not looking for new logos. It's all about cross-sell and upsell. So what does that mean? You have to establish a dominant or at least a pervasive brand with a healthy share of voice and Point two, an unbelievably solid reputation for delivering for the customers. So that's where the customer success investment comes in, right? So we invest in brand. You're not supposed to do that in private equity. You're only supposed to invest in revenue marketing. Well, we invest in brand so everyone knows who we were. Then we invest in customer success, disproportionately, I would argue, to the size of company that we are. Because if we can deliver value for them today, think about it. I have a multi-million-dollar investment in customer success. Not just the people, but the program around it as well. Why? If we deliver for them today, if we have a multi-million-dollar investment in them getting more value out of the software they already own from us, before we try to cross-sell them more, what do we earn the right to do? Add more value.
Yeah.
And that's where the commercial side, the account team, the execution, right, we do this well for you. Will you trust us? Will you have a conversation with us about the next problem? And you come in and you tell the product story. And so, 1 + 1 + 1 = 5 in this scenario. And if you look at our numbers, our churn is down by 400 basis points since we started working with you guys. Our bookings, our sales, almost all of which is cross-sell and upsell, is going to be almost north of 20% this year, right? It's because the story works, but more importantly, the story is true. We're delivering value, we're proving it to them, and we're doing it as a partner, not a vendor.
Yeah, no, and that's the key. And that's the interesting thing as we kind of think about the second topic we wanted to cover. Acquisition costs, you're in 97% of them already. So it's really more about your ability to earn the right to your words to provide more value. And you're only as good as the last thing you did. So, how well you serve that client, how much value you drive to them, gives you the right to expand beyond the CIO's office and take on problems and provide value within the business. So as you think about that, and as you think about the fact that you're still a house of brands, so they don't necessarily know that Halo is simpler, and some of them might not even know that simpler is supposed to be lowercase s at the beginning and spelled with a Y.
Spelled with a Y.
Half of our employees are still working on that.
Well,
we're getting there.
Microsoft Word auto-corrects it every time, and I have to backspace out.
You do it every time.
But now it doesn't. Once you type it enough, it won't.
Yeah.
Well, I have added it to my dictionary.
Thank you.
So,
Could you talk to Satya and get Microsoft to do that too, and make it easier for the 2,000 of us?
I could. I will absolutely do that.
Good.
Yeah. So that will be my next call.
You got that kind of pull.
As soon as we finish today's episode, that is our next guest.
Okay.
Satya.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Oh, you
heard it here. You heard it here. So the invite has been extended, and you are wanted on this show,
Mr. Nadella.
You've been listening to SBI's GTM Value Creation Corner podcast. Subscribe to this podcast to be notified in early January when we continue the conversation on symplr success story. Visit sbigrowth.com to read SBI's latest research, join upcoming events, or learn about SBI's GTM services. Don't forget to connect with us on LinkedIn.